Do you see the clock?
Yeah, we should be live here any second.
Mine says live.
Losi is live now. All right. Yep, we're live. All right, so let's see here. We got 4 people watching. Give it a few, I don't know, we give it a little bit of time here, and I know we're up to 8. So once we get I don't know, maybe 20 or so, we'll start it. 12. $15. All right. So we got Kevin Hamansky watching us. What's up, Kevin? All right, so we hit 23, so we'll get started here. So happy Friday to everybody. Todd Hodge here, category manager for Surface at Horizon Hobby. And then we have the famous Gil Losi Jr., who, I don't know, doesn't need much of an introduction. Pretty much the man, the myth, the legend, creating all these great RC cars over all the years. He was a big reason that I even raced the Team Losi cars back in the day. So if you just want to say hello, Junior.
Hey, everyone.
All right, so we're going to kind of go with some of the questions first that were kind of posted when we first put the video up. What inspired you to create or work for Losi, and how did it start? So, Junior, I guess start with you. What inspired you to create?
Well, God, I was just racing pretty old Japanese-based platforms, when I started in this, and from day one, I was always building a lot of crazy parts and kind of tinkering, building, changing, tuning, and helped a couple companies get aftermarket parts developed for Tamiya cars and then later Kyosho cars, and kind of just, worked on the RC10 project. That was my first real development project, working with Associated.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just something that always had too many ideas, and they were always coming out. And someday my dad just said, hey, let's quit giving it away. Let's do our own thing.
Right. Yeah, for me, to work for Losi, it was kind of always a dream of mine. Never thought it would really happen. And it happened back in 99. I don't know, probably in the middle of 1999. Gil asked me if I'd be interested to come work for Team Losi. I went out to the Nationals. There were Nationals at M&M that year. Talked to Pops and Junior. I agreed to move out there. So 2 weeks after the National, I packed up all my stuff out of Ohio and moved to California, and had the opportunity to work with Junior for, I don't know, nonstop till about 2007. Just developing cars. Just had an awesome time. I mean, I wouldn't say Junior's probably just a colleague, probably one of my best friends, just outside of RC, just a great mentor in my life. So, I mean, it was just been a huge opportunity for me. And, pretty much just all started from racing Team Losi cars and being inspired by all the stuff Junior would come up with, and being able to be a part of that. All right. Yeah, this is the, when will we get the new micros? Yeah, so we launched the Mini T late last year, and surprisingly enough, everybody was really into it. And then all the questions started coming up. When will we get new micros? I would say that it's something we're thinking about. Not sure when. Even if it was coming soon, I really couldn't let you know. But I will say it's not coming anytime soon. But it's definitely something we are thinking about. All right. Will products be made in the U.S. again, especially the racing parts? I guess me and Junior can both answer this. Maybe Junior, you want to start?
Oh, it's a hard question because it's one that's dear to my heart.
Right.
I enjoyed, obviously the pre 95, everything was made in the U.S. After 95, we had to move a few things slowly over to Taiwan and then eventually China. But the infrastructure and cost of manufacturing in the U.S. is so much higher than Asia that it's really difficult to make the quality level parts we do today and do them in the U.S. at any sort of a competitive price.
Right.
I think that there's things that we could still do here that that work, like the tire project I work on, we do that and stay competitive. But especially when it comes to a lot of post processing, the platings, the heat treating, the amount of resources left in the U.S. that can work at our price point is just far and few between.
Yeah, I mean, we could always produce the parts in the U.S. again, but that $10 or $12 set of A-arms will probably be double that price. So at the end of the day, it's making the parts still at a reasonable price to the point that people can afford it. We still make the shock oil in the States. It's still mixed here in Ontario. We still make the super glue in the States. So, not the super glue, the tire glue. So there is some things we do, but it just comes down to cost. And I firmly believe that a lot of our quality is as good as it's ever been. I still believe Losi kind of owns the quality level products in the RC industry, and a lot of that stems down from the racing side of our business.
And some of the vendors that we've worked with over in Asia all these years, there's some of them are actually just better than any of the vendors we had here in the U.S.
Yeah, very true.
The skill level, the technology that they have on the floor, they're making the parts. It's really impressive. I think it would be really, really hard to use any subcontractors in the U.S. that would be any better than them.
Is there a release date set for the 8X Truggy? Yes, it's going to probably be about midsummer. We're still working through a few things. But yeah, it's going to be the probably middle of the summer for that product. Okay. Will you all come out with a scale crawler anytime soon? Oh, we got my helper here. Just coming in. Hey. All right. Will you all come out with a crawler anytime soon to keep up with the scale industry? There's really no plans for Losi to do a crawler. At the end of the day, the Losi brand is really race inspired. So anything race related is what we're going to come out with. The crawler scale segment is really, we're leaving that up to the Axial team. So just kind of really creating that clear line between Axial and Losi. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't make sense for Losi. All right. Will there be a Mini 22 buggy? That's a good one. Time will tell. That's all I'm going to say with that one. It's definitely a great idea. And we'll just see here in the future. All right. Will there be a 40th anniversary Jarek's 2 release? One can only dream. You the man, Gil.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, so it's something that we've talked about. There's currently no plans for it, but if we do come out with it, it won't be this year. But we have discussed the idea and just kind of conceptualize it. All right, Adam. Why do companies no longer produce cheaper versions of their race vehicles? When I was younger, I enjoyed being able to purchase the XX buggy that came with bushings and non-graphite parts. That's actually something we've talked about before recently, coming out with a lower cost product to just kind of lower that barrier of entry. So it's something that's definitely on our radar. But for right now, in the immediate future, there are no plans for it.
Well, and I'll add in that when we started doing the RTRs quite aggressively in my day there, the cost benefits really went down to having a cheap kit when you could buy RTRs that were already filling that void.
Yeah. What do you think of the new 22X Sport? Any insight on the development of the vehicle? Junior, you want to take this one?
Oh yeah, I mean that car was in design when I joined in, so I could only help with the execution of it. But the car from the beginning has just been incredibly fast. We spent more time trying to refine the car than trying to find speed. It naturally was one of those platforms that where it started, it had such corner speed. It was more about refining it than trying to improve it. So I think people will find that the car is generally a really easy car to go fast with.
Yeah, and that was really the scope of the project, because we had the 22.4, and with it being a front motor car, it definitely had its speed limitations to where, it'd be fast to a certain part, and then as soon as the grip came up, we would just kind of lose corner speed. So I would say we went more of the traditional route of as far as the chassis layouts, and we figured out a few things that I believe others haven't figured out, which is definitely showing the speed of the car and just how well it's been doing in the hands of so many of our drivers. Brian, will Losi produce another on-road car? That's kind of open-ended question. I mean, does that mean a TLR touring car? Or maybe a Losi on-road car? The latter is probably more probable, but probably never do another Team Losi racing touring car, even though I have my Jarek S Type R behind me up there, just kind of out of appreciation for that project and how much fun I had working with Junior on that. Any chance of a XXXT re-release? And we're getting a lot of the vintage questions. XXXT re-release, probably. You never know. I'll just leave it at that. All right, Junior, what's your favorite Team Losi vehicle of all time?
Wow. I'm proud of them all for different reasons. It's like each one. I'm one of those people that by the time they hit the market, I already didn't like it, and I already wanted to build the next car to fix all the things I didn't like. So it was always hard, but I think the proudest I am of any project is probably the 8. Just we came out and completely changed the industry in a very mature class, and you look around the industry today, and just every car has signs of what we did there. And that was a class that was almost as old as 10 scale electric, and for us to be able to enter it 20 years down the road and shake it up that bad with our little team was something that made me really proud.
Yeah, for sure. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, the shock approaches, the clutch approaches, where the weight is, how we laid it out. I mean, just all the way down to a few things we got lucky about, but almost every car today is a copy of so many parts of our car that you have to look around and say we made one heck of an impact.
Outside.
I'm doing a Facebook Live. Sorry about that.
Yep, but I did really enjoy the LXT was probably the last car I raced competitively. So I remember that quite fondly as far as a racer. But every single one of them has so much cool stuff in it.
For me, I think it was probably a toss-up between the XX4 and the XXX buggy. XX4 just because it was such a innovative car for its time, which then trickled down to the street weapon, which I think initially struggled, but then the masterminds at Team Losi figured it out, and even before me, the guys made it faster. And then when I came on board, it was even we made it a little bit faster and had a bunch of good results. So just that platform was really special. I think we definitely exhausted everything that car had for capabilities, but it was really good. And the other one was a XXX. I mean, I remember coming out to California in 1999 for the World Nationals, literally building my car, I think the Monday before the Nationals. and throwing it down for the nationals. And I think I qualified like 5th in the 2-wheel drive mod main. And it was just amazing to just take a car like that. And I think we put like 9 out of 10 cars in the main with all triple X's. So that was just really cool. And that was just a product of Junior and Kinwald. And I remember calling Junior, and asking him about it, like, hey, well, tell me about the car. And you're like, well, it's just different. It's just something you've never seen before. I couldn't wait to come out to California and see it because they wouldn't send us pictures or anything. And then when we saw it, it was just like, and then the way the body was, right? It didn't have the back piece on there, kind of ended at the shock tower and then the wing. I'm like, this doesn't even look right. But then it went so fast and it just jumps and landed so well. You just immediately fell in love with it.
Everybody on the team fought me on moving the body forward.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like until you run it, you can't criticize it. I spent a day with Kinwald doing different body tests with him, and finally got him on board. But yeah, every single person on the team thought I was nuts when I told them I was doing that.
What vehicles are sitting behind you, Gil?
I don't have a whole lot anymore. Let's see, which way can I get it? I have an old original 8 kit, triple XCR, an old Jarek T, and then I have the old big sign from one of our Chicago trade shows of the NXT.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nigel, would you ever consider a retro line of products such as vintage buggies, trucks, and different scales as the Japanese brands do? I mean, you never know. We definitely see what other people are doing. It seems kind of novel to do some of that stuff, especially with the heritage of Team Losi. But at the same time, we just don't want to be doing what everybody else does. I mean, we have plenty of product ideas that we're trying to bring to market, and it's going to be stuff that people have never seen before. So kind of hard to answer that question completely, but we have definitely talked about it. Off the wall question. Back in the day, Losi started in skating. Junior, did you enjoy skating as much as Alan?
Well, that would have to be a hard no. I didn't enjoy it as much as him. But no, I did enjoy skating very much. That was a big part of my life for a lot of years. But yeah, I found RC cars the same year I went pro in skateboarding. And let's just say it sabotaged it pretty heavily. Mm-hmm. I fell in love with RC. I think I mixed the two for one season while I finished out the skate season. And when I hung up my skateboards, I don't think I ever rode again. I literally, in those days, I was racing RC cars 5 days a week.
Jason, what's up, man? Just want to say thank you to Junior for autographing my Losi Jarek T body at the Roar Nationals in Texas at Thornhill. It meant the world to me. Razor RC, how did you decide on the Mini T for the 40th anniversary as opposed to another vehicle such as a TLR or another Losi? Really, it just came down to timing on that. Once we saw the success of the Mini T, the Mini T 2.0, and it just kind of collided with the 40th year of Losi, and just how many original Mini Ts we sold. We just thought it worked out really well for that project, and we were able to pull off something really special to get it out there. Matt, will there be a Mini T Pro? Currently, there are no plans for a Mini T Pro, but like I kind of say with a lot of our projects or products, I mean, you never know when we're going to come out with something new, and that could or couldn't be on the product plan, but time will tell. Will TLR re-release the late model? We have talked about the dirt oval scene internally quite a bit. There are no plans for the late model on the 8X platform. A lot of times when we discontinue a product, it's kind of ran its course through the market, and unfortunately, that's what the late model kind of did. But if the dirt oval stuff, if we end up jumping into that category again and we see there's potential there, there's possible chance that we could do it. Razor, do you see the off-road racing market as bigger now or bigger back in the previous decades? I don't know, Junior, what do you think?
I think off-road is still the major part of the RC world, racing it and play. I think that any given class is smaller than it used to be, but to be fair, back in the day, there was only 2 or 3 classes, and now there's so many classes, then everything's so fragmented that if you pulled everybody and shoved them all back in the same jar, things would look a lot different than we think they look.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I mean, it seems that, like Junior said, it used to be, you had basically 2-wheel drive buggies for the longest time, a little bit of 4-wheel, and then stadium truck came out, and then everybody was into that. But now, you have 8-scale. There's just so many different things to go race that it really splits it out. Sorry about that. I had to help my son. All right, Junior, I'll let you take this one.
Okay. Well, I can't read that about myself. That's embarrassing. But anyway, I don't even know how to answer that because I don't think I feel that way. I just feel like a guy that's an enthusiast that's been doing it for a really long time that people know. But it's just, it always came very easily to me to push the envelope and try to do innovative different things. And because of that and how lucky I was in the situation I was in with my father being able to build a business behind my talent, I just feel fortunate more than anything. I don't know how else to answer it.
Graham, did you answer my question on if you would develop a new monster truck in the 1/6 or 1/5 scale side? Pretty much. If you're looking, most likely not. Sorry, I got my little helper here. All right, go.
Come here.
All right. But not sure if we'll ever develop something like that. We do think about it and talk about it quite often, but again, just not sure. Really, it comes down to that's really more on the ARMA side of the business, where they're doing a good job with like the Crate 8S, although it's kind of a truggy, but they kind of own that monster truck area. Trevor, what's your favorite micro? I'm going to have to say the Micro Raminator. And the reason it's the Micro Raminator is because that was my first project as a product developer under Losi. So for me, that was a really cool little project that I started under when I went from team manager to into product development. All right. I'll let you do. I remember this. How much time did you spend designing and building the track for the off-road worlds in 1997?
Quite a bit, actually. The hardest thing about that track for that race was getting the dirt to hold up well enough for that level and that scale of event. So the layout itself, we put a lot of work into. A lot of people helped, but boy, I'll put in here. Back then, Ken Shintani was the manager of the ranch pit shop, and we did lose Kenny last year. So shout out to Kenny up there in the stars. But he did a lot of work with the dirt for the previous year, testing different things that we added to the dirt. And I would say the layout we worked hard on as a group, but Kenny and his team weekly kept testing things and figured out what to put in the dirt to make it work together. And that was the most work.
Yeah, I remember I flew out early for that World Championship, and me and Chris Bing were out there one night, and everybody was working on the track. And on the left side of the track, we were standing on the driver's stand, he kind of came through that like chicane or sweeper and then cut back into the track, and it was just all dirt. And I'm like, it was like at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I said, Junior, what are we gonna do here? And Junior was so stressed out. He's like, I just don't know. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna walk away right now. So I mean, the whole ranch staff put on such an amazing event, but like just leading up to it, I could just feel the stress that was kind of building across it, because it was at the ranch. The IFMAR World Championships are such a premier event for our industry, and the Losis want to do just the absolute best job possible, as like they always want to do. And just that event, just honestly, was probably one of the best World Championships I've ever been to.
It was hard because obviously you're trying to prep the cars and get the team ready. At the same time, you're trying to prep a store and a track to hold a good race and try to keep it unbiased. And you get pressures coming from everywhere. It was a lot of work, hard, and I remember I slept for a month afterwards.
Chad Brockman, how you doing, Chad? Any thought about bringing back the soda body and the conversion, but for the new 22X4? Really no plans for that. I do recall that very well. That product, Losi was definitely ahead of the time there with that conversion, but there are no plans for that.
I mean, the short course class pretty much covers it.
Yep. Scott Kramer, what's up, Scott? Both of you grew up racing cars, but no longer do. Is that due to working in the industry and being around them so much? It's a little bit of that. And another thing is, I had to grow up, went and got my degree, got married, had a family. And as you've seen them here in this video popping around me, my focus and priorities is definitely on them. As they get a little older, I'm hoping to kind of get them more into the RC scene of it. I know my youngest one, Nolan, the last one that you guys saw in here, every day I come home, he's asking what RC car we can drive. And right now his favorite is the Losi Mini T 2.0. So we have a little track in the backyard that we play on. And as soon as he gets a little bit more skilled, we'll be getting him out to the track. I just don't want to take him there now and have him blowing everybody off the end of the straightaway. Rick Blem. Is Losi going to build a drag car? Well, it's race inspired, so you never know. Hey, Junior, you want to go back to that question? You want to go back a couple? Oh, yeah, there you go. Junior, you want to answer that? I kind of took over that question.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I am starting to race more again, as much as I can. It's there's not a lot of good tracks really close to my house at this point. So, but I am getting to the track and running a lot. I raced the DNC, not very happily, but car worked really well. I just have to work on my driving some more under pressure. But no, for me, I didn't stop racing because I didn't enjoy it. Just life got really, really busy for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, my kids are grown up, so I actually have enough time now that as I do, I will race more.
All right, Floyd, how did the Losi Muggy come about? I'll leave that one to Junior.
I think that was Josh Alton's fault.
It was. I do remember that.
Yeah, that was a fun one, though. We had the monster truck class was just starting to race. Guys were out with a few different classes of monster trucks that they were converting for races. We were in the middle of the LST, and Josh pretty much just built a low center of gravity version of it, went out and played with it. And I think Bill saw it and, hey, we got to do that, and turned into a project. Something like that.
Tim Tunnerman, why do you think a viable steel chassis hasn't been developed for high grip carpet or turf racing? It would seem like a better way to lower CG without needing to rely on as many brass weights. Junior?
No, I mean, I don't completely disagree. We used to actually run some steel chassis on our LXTs in the old days.
Yeah.
So, you know, the brass weights are nice because anybody can put any sort of electronics and get close to what the team's running, and it's good for quick changing because we actually like on the carpet we move the weight around quite a bit depending on the track. So you wouldn't want to lose the ability to move the weight bias.
Okay. Mike, any chance of bringing the Losi Winter Champs back to Tampa, Florida? Oh man, that would be pretty awesome if we were able to do that. And I don't see why we couldn't, but yeah, that would be pretty epic there. Get back there on that awesome orange dirt, run normal tires. I mean, that race was always a blast. You know, unfortunately, the weather got in the way a few years there, which I think really hurt the race. But yeah, that's something we need to talk to the director of marketing about to see if we can make that happen again. It's definitely a great race.
And yeah, the club there was having problems for a while at that time too. So
Okay.
hopefully the club gets itself healthy and the industry can go back there too.
Out of a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being likely, how likely will there be Jarek's 2 re-release?
Go ahead, Todd.
I would say a 5. I'll just throw it right in the middle there. Dan, are you coming out with more bodies for the Mini T 2.0? Currently, there are no plans to do bodies. I know J Concepts has done one recently. Really, at the end of the day, we're not in the body business. We like to just kind of leave that up to the aftermarket companies like J Concepts, ProWide. All right. Chad Brockman, what was the name of the Yo-Yo Master Team Losi sponsored? I know the answer. Let's see if Gene remembers.
I don't, Steve.
You got part of it. Yep.
Steve, I can't think of his last name.
A very general Brown.
That's right. Yep.
Steve Brown. Yep.
Fun guy. Really fun guy.
Yeah. Carlos, now with this pandemic, I'm bringing my cars out and found out that they are out of date. What do you recommend buying? I'm leaning to a 2-wheel drive short course truck so I can race. Yeah, I think that's probably a good start. I think it just really comes down to like what the best class is that in your area. Me personally, I would probably build a 2-wheel drive buggy or maybe even the new 4-wheel drive buggy. But again, it just goes back to, you know, what's the most popular class and what class you're going to have the most fun with. Really at the end of the day. So I would just suggest looking at what your local track's doing and go from there. Steve, did you ever try to sign Masami to drive for Losi back in the day?
Masami did drive for Losi back in the day. That's where he started.
Really?
One of his first ones. Him. Actually, no, that's not true. I take that back. That was
Stussy.
Aura. Yeah,
Aura
ran Losi cars originally. Masami was already tied into Yokomo immediately after that first Worlds in England that he won, and that was the first time any of us had ever met him. So by the time he was on the radar screen, Yokomo had already signed him.
Sparks, quick question. Best to find parts for my Losi 1.0 or sell it? Pretty much if you can't find it on eBay, that's where I usually direct people to look for parts for the older vehicles. If you kind of run out of options there, you might want to sell it or just kind of hold on to it, because as we see a lot of these cars, I mean, I tell you, I wish I would have kept every single one of my race cars from back in the day. For my LXT or my JRXT, LXTs, I mean, all of them. Because 30 years later, it would have been really cool to be looking at those. So why did you guys discontinue the TLR 4.0 Truggy? I had so many people buy them. It just came down to that sales were softening on it, and it really didn't make sense to continue carrying it. And we were developing the 8X. Unfortunately, the 8XT has taken us a little longer than originally planned to get it to market. So it was really just moving on to a new platform for us, being the 8X. All right, Nigel, random question. Was skating/skateboard wheels the inspiration behind the design of the Jarek Pro/Pro SE wheels?
Not that I recall.
Okay. I can see where that question comes up. All right.
Yep. And then not saying it wasn't an influence. I just, it wasn't on purpose if it was.
Right. Brad, is there anything that you designed that you wish you had back?
And that I could take it off the market?
That you wish you had back? Yeah, I'm not sure if I get that one.
I don't know what he's looking for there, but I can say that probably the only thing we released that was really unhappy with was probably the original street weapon. And that's one of those that why I got involved heavily after it was released. I wasn't involved in the development of that one. And then afterwards I got involved and turned that, it was, the bones were there. The original work was done. It just wasn't finished all the way. And once we got involved and figured out how to race tune it, the car went on to win so many national level races on asphalt carpet in the rain in Europe and, World Cup. Went on to be an incredibly successful car. Mm-hmm. But it didn't start out that way.
Made that car really good. Really good.
Yep.
Razor, thanks for updating the Tenacity line. The Pro model fixes the complaints we had about the original version. Can we look forward to additional Pro models? Yeah, so, I mean, the Tenacity line, we definitely went the wrong direction with that. Trying to do more of a cost savings measure on it definitely took it way too far. So yeah, we're seeing the positive response on the Pro line. We hear everything you're saying. You will probably see more Pro models coming in the future. Nancy, how you doing? Todd, do you miss being TLR team manager? That's a tough one. I miss all the team drivers and being in the mix of the racing as much as I was. That was definitely a unique experience in a time in my life that, just being able to travel all across the world. When people ask me what I do, I meet them for the first time, I tell them and they look at me like, oh, you play with toy cars, and I'm like, yeah, well, I also traveled the entire world doing this. So some of me, I do miss it. I do miss the competitive side of it, which I think makes it harder for me to go racing because I want to just compete at that, specific level, and I really can't anymore without putting a ton of time. And even if I put that ton of time in, I still can't get there, and that's really frustrating for me. So I guess, sometimes I do miss it, but then there's other times I really like being home on the weekends because when you're the team manager, you're really busy going to events. Bradley Farmer, how you doing, Brad? Need more throwback and old school flag hats, shirts. Keep up the great job. Thank you. Yeah, so we got this. We need to come out with the shirt that Junior has on. That's a good one. It has the old TL medallion on it. Yeah, thank you. It's stuff that we're definitely moving forward on. You're going to see, we have released more swag as of lately. So, yeah, we're going to definitely keep going with that. Dan, how about a Mini T 2.0 hauler bag? All right, well noted. I can see that. I have seen some people on the Mini T 2.0 Facebook page creating some of their own little storage bags. But, yeah, no, I get it. We'll definitely have to think about that. All right, Junior, how many models have you designed that have never been released and why?
Quite a few, actually. Quite a few. I think the last full prototype car that was a runnable prototype that we scrapped was the gas touring car.
Yeah.
And that just was that class went from being a new hot class to a burnt out, over sponsored nightmare in a matter of 2 years. So the class burned itself out before we got to it, really.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the team testing that. I remember you and I believe Greg Hodap taking an electric car, building the weight up on the top, the replicated engine. I don't know if did we ever make a nitro actual?
Yep, I have it.
Okay. Yeah, so it was really close. Let's see. How do we get more kids like Todd's to the track? Get them off the video games and get them to the RC track. I mean, at the end of the day, these cars are more durable than ever. So I think it just comes down to the parents. I have taken my 8-year-old a few times, but it gets hard because if I'm taking my 8-year-old, my 5-year-old wants to go, and if he doesn't go, it's like all heck breaks loose in the house if he's not going racing.
I think the bottom line is when the kids see the parents having fun, they want to go do it too.
Yeah. All right. So, any last comments before we wrap up?
I could go back and answer that other question to her more. Because gas touring car was the last one, but there have probably been about 3 or 4 other projects that got scrapped at some point during their development. And usually we would learn things that basically could fix the previous version or the current version, and we would decide it wasn't worth building a whole new platform. We could just update the existing one.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here.
Oh, so right now I'm a consultant for TLR, so I kind of work on whatever little projects Todd has for me. But I think more than anything, I'm mentoring the current people that are the design staff that are currently there, more than I'm doing any specific work. Firelens is no longer alive. Yeah, so I think that answers that question.
Steve, do you still mentor any young drivers? I mean, I know Junior does. I don't get to the track as much, but I mean, I will say that, our other guys in the office, Frank, Ryan, they're definitely working with the younger guys. We kind of have our young gun program this year with the Kaufmans, Anthony Westergaard, Tom Rennerneck, the Fullers, and our goal with them is just to mentor those younger guys to bring them up to that next Dakota level. So yeah, I mean, we do work on that, and it's kind of our strategy moving forward. Instead of going deep and spending a ton of money on these high-paid drivers, we have our one top driver being Dakota, who could win any race that he enters because he's just that good, and then the cars are good. It just comes down to the key, it comes down to luck. And now we're trying to get these other drivers and build them up. So we definitely do that. Cool. Thanks, Graham. Yeah, this is, it's been really fun. It's cool. It's been awesome to see so many people on here and just asking all these great questions. I think we definitely need to do more of these types of things to connect. All right, so I see Mike Bauer on here. By the way, Todd, you guys need to build an original Jarek's T for a re-release throwback. Yeah, we've definitely talked about it. I couldn't agree anymore. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up here. I just want to thank everybody for taking some time to come on here. I know it's a crazy time right now in the world for everybody. I just ask that, just play, be safe, keep your distance from people. I mean, as this pandemic is hitting the U.S. more and more, it's just even more critical for us to, do our due diligence to stay healthy. Because, I mean, me personally, I've heard of a few of, call it 2 degrees of separation where people have came down with the COVID virus. So I just stay safe and enjoy the hobby/sport.
Yeah, more backyard tracks.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that me and Junior talk about all the time. Getting back to the basics instead of these cars that are getting just overly technical, and just having fun. I mean, as I see my kids playing in the backyard on our little track, it just kind of brings me back to why I've been so enamored with RC cars. So,
well, if people saw the tracks we raced on in the 80s, they would die.
Yeah, I'd love to put some of these guys on those tracks. All right. Yeah. So Trevor Willerton, that's why micros are great to run indoors. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we're going to sign off of here. Thanks for everybody coming in. Have a great weekend, and stay safe. Take care.
Thank you, guys.